PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of We Have the Power is brought to you by Classy Communications, PR, and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and non-profit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Well, welcome to another We Have the Power. I'm your host, Brian Gardner. And if you like this segment when we get done, I think you will learn a lot about earthquake preparedness. And then you can like it, subscribe, let your friends know, because even here in semi-safe Nevada, we do have faults. And of course, in Los Angeles, the San Andreas fault, if it shook, could have some trouble for us here. And we'll talk about that, kind of preparing you for what's coming. I'm going to have a person from the local area disaster preparedness group on the show to interview them next week or the week after, whenever they're available. Today, we'll talk about the basics right after this important message. I'll be right back. It has been said that young people are the future of any country or any world. I believe that's true, and if you do, then together we know that we must invest in our young people. One of the best ways we can invest in them is by obtaining the booklets from the drugfreeworld.org Truth About Drugs campaign. The booklets, especially on marijuana, come in English, of course. This is something that is out there and is talked about a lot in the media, but it also comes in Spanish. And then there is a book that is a compilation book. And this one is very important because it covers things like alcohol abuse, ecstasy. We know that cocaine, crystal meth are things that are dangerous. Inhalants can be abused, and also heroin, LSD, and even prescription drugs. So it's very important to get these booklets that give information about what these drugs and what alcohol abuse will do. They don't say don't take them, which oftentimes turns young people off. They tell everyone who reads these booklets what this kind of activity will do. And in that way, we're investing in our young people and investing in the future of our country and this world. Just go to drugfreeworld.org and get these free booklets right away. Very good idea. Now, if you're watching this live and you're in the Las Vegas, Henderson area, there is a major Volkswagen auto show this weekend, and I'm also a classic Volkswagen artist. I will be there with the drug booklets, handing them out for free. So if you are watching this live and you can get to the show this coming Saturday in the big main park in Boulder City, did I say Henderson? Meant Boulder City. Then I will be there with the drug booklets. It's a huge Volkswagen show called Volkswagen's Take Over the Dam. They have it every year, and I will be giving out free drug booklets. Okay, on today's program, we're talking about something that's really I know it's a pain, because with tornadoes and snowfall and floods, the weather people can tell you, okay, this weekend's going to be heavy snow, heavy rain. There's going to be tornadoes. Nobody can predict exactly when earthquake happens. And that's kind of like being a fireman. They never know when that bell's going to ring. They have to be ready all the time. And although you don't have to spend your life worrying about it, it is important to have earthquake supplies so that you are always ready when at some point the earthquake hits. Now, let me ask you, even though I'm not in front of you, have you ever been in an earthquake before, right? I'm shaking my monitor here. I have been in an earthquake. Loma Prieta, I was in a town called Point Richmond, and it's the funniest thing, although not funny for the people that were injured and lost their lives. I was a fire extinguisher serviceman at the time, and I had set, let me use this little box of juice to show you. I had set down this fire extinguisher in my truck. The minute I set it down, Loma Prieta went off, and I could see the road doing this. Let me do it sideways for you. I mean, it was rippling for a couple of seconds. Weirdest thing I ever saw. Luckily, I was safe in Point Richmond, but I remember that earthquake distinctly. Another time I was in Point Richmond in my house, my apartment, and it sounded like a freight train had hit the front of my door. It was just this really big, and that's it. Something shifted. Now, the reason we have to deal with earthquakes in California, and there are faults in Nevada as well, is because, especially in California, the two plates, you can see are moving past each other. It's not the best representation. Let me get it like this. Yeah, they're moving past each other. And when they get hung up, the pressure builds and builds and builds, and all of a sudden it releases, and that's how we get an earthquake. The San Andreas Fault, it's called, runs all the way from way down by the Salton Sea and then goes off into the ocean up north by the Marin area, is overdue for an earthquake. And the geologists can't tell us when the next earthquake is going to hit. What they can tell us is that the prediction is that in the next 30 years, there's going to be a 70 or 80 chance that the San Andreas Fault will cause a 7 or 8 point earthquake. Now, another thing you should know is that a 5 earthquake, when you go to a 6, 5, 6, it's many, many, many more times powerful than a 5. When you go from a 5 to an 8, it is just tremendously more powerful, 5 to an 8. It is not like a 5 to a 6, it's just a little bit more. That's how the Richter scale, and they have a new scale, but that's how it is set up. And that's something you should know. Of course, everyone kind of knows about the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, destroyed the city. Of course, in those days, they had improper buildings because there had never been a major earthquake in San Francisco. And they had all kinds of gas pipes that really fire was what destroyed San Francisco, not so much the earthquake, but the earthquake toppled a lot of buildings, caused a lot of trouble. So going back to my main point, it's kind of a pain in the backside because, yes, we have to remain prepared because we don't know when the next earthquake is coming. It's not a question of if, it is a question of when, because it will be coming back and happening again. So the knowledge that I just gave you is the first most important thing. You go, okay, we're not in California, earthquake country, but we're in Nevada. We do have some faults. And if San Andreas shakes really hard, it could affect us here. Not as badly, of course, but who knows? The Hayward Fault hasn't had a major earthquake since the 1800s. It is way overdue, and it can also produce an 8 on the Richter scale, which is similar to the shaking experienced by those people in 1906 in San Francisco. We were very lucky that Loma Prieta, here's San Francisco, Loma Prieta earthquake was the epicenter was way down here. If the epicenter had been San Francisco, I don't even want to think about how much damage would have been done. So knowledge is the first thing. You go, okay, we live in earthquake country. It's not like we're on bedrock and no plates are moving past each other. They are moving past each other and they get hung up. It's, to give you an example, 2 kids are on a rope and they're pulling and they each have a can of soda with white shirts. Okay. they have cherry soda and they have white shirts. So they're pulling on the rope. And you say, keep pulling. You're going to show them what an earthquake does. You keep pulling, and it's been 20 minutes. They're starting to get tired. One of the kids is pulling, and the other one lets loose. And all heck breaks loose. He gets cherry cola spilled all over him. And that's kind of what happens with the faults. They are moving, moving past each other. Then they get hung up. See this finger right here? Hung up. And the pressure's building. And the pressure's building. And pretty soon it can't hold anymore. And you get an earthquake. So that's an example. You could actually do that with your kids. It would be quite a fun example to give them a rope, give them some water. You don't have to have colored water and destroy the shirt, and have them pull. Well, eventually they're going to get tired. Someone's going to let go. And then the water is going to spill, and you could show them how that works. So knowledge. The next thing is if it's a major earthquake on the San Andreas, not so much on the Hayward Fault, but it could still affect us perhaps, or it could cause the San Andreas to come alive. But let's talk about the San Andreas because it's closer. LA is pretty close to us. So a major earthquake on the San Andreas happens. And you want to have supplies because most likely all the estimates are you're going to be on your own for 3 days. Now let's bring you up to speed. Everybody goes, I'll just go get gas and I'll just go get money out of the ATM. No. The gas is not gravity feed. It's electric feed. It'll be shut down. The ATM is electric. It'll be shut down. So the first thing is, whenever your car gets to half empty, fill it up. Just do that, and it's good for your parts in your gas tank, especially if you live in Las Vegas here. If there is a very tiny bit of gas in your tank, the pump gets very hot because it's not in the gasoline, which can be cold. So as soon as it gets to half, fill it up. Just keep that always in. That way you always have gasoline for the most part. Keep some cash somewhere in the house safely so you don't have to feel like we have no cash. Most people don't have cash on them. They think they're going to use their card, and the cards will not work at the grocery store. The electricity will be down. Some of the grocery stores will be closed or damaged. So keep some cash, okay, so that you can buy things you need. I can't tell you right now how much cash you should have, but when we have the person from the C.E.R.T, let me explain what that means. Community Emergency Response Team Training. When that person comes on to be interviewed, he or she will be able to tell you, okay, this is a good amount of cash to have. And yeah, it's kind of a pain. Everything's tight and money's tight. But once you set it in an envelope and say, okay, that's for emergencies only, then it's done, and okay, maybe you could sell something you don't really need and get your cash that way. You look at the garage, you go, we have these 5 items we don't need. Let's sell them, and then we can use that cash for our reserve cash. Get bright. Ideas like that. Supplies of water and food. And if anyone, let's say your grandparents are living with you and they're on certain medications, you want to have a backup of whatever they're taking. You want to have water. And I have an Alhambra tower, and they deliver me water periodically in the big jugs. So I always have water, but it's not very portable. So you want to think about, what if the house is damaged and I have to get out? It would be better to have individual bottles of water. And I may, in fact, from doing the show, pick up, a 12 case of water and just have it there. So in case there was an earthquake and I had to leave the house, I can do it. Now I have to carry a 50-pound, water bottle with me. That won't work. Okay, so food And you don't really want to have cans of peas. I mean, that's good to have for the long term, 3 days, if you can stay in the house. But if you can't stay in the house, you need to have portable food bars, and not cheese, because cheese will spoil, but any kind of energy crackers, any kind of item. I drink a protein drink you can get at Walmart, comes in different flavors. I think vanilla, chocolate, and dark chocolate. That is in a sealed type container, very easy to very portable, and that would give you the energy you need if you have to leave the house. So supplies of food and water are very important, and the medicine we talked about, if you are on any medication that you need, or a family member that lives with you is. Hopefully here in Nevada, we won't have to leave the house unless the shaking was so bad that many houses are destroyed, of course. But I don't think here so much there's as high a chance for sure of having to leave the house as there is in LA, although we do have faults here in Nevada. And that will certainly be talked about when I interview the person from the C.E.R.T in Las Vegas or Henderson, okay? So supplies, you want to think about, okay, what supplies do I need? You get them set, and then you can kind of every 6 months or 3 months, check it and make sure they're still good. Replace the ones that the dates are going to run out pretty soon. And you want to have that in some kind of a backpack or something. So if you had to leave the house, you could go, we need this, we need this, we need this. It goes into the backpack. You want to have a pair of shoes that are not dress shoes for work. Tennis shoes are very good because you can walk long distances in them. Have that as part of your emergency kit. You should have a fire extinguisher in the home in case a fire develops, and you should know how to use it. This is some of the C.E.R.T training that I'll talk about and that the person I interview will talk about. The C.E.R.T training is absolutely so exciting. You feel empowered. You feel like you could take care of your family members, yourself, and maybe other neighbors and friends or anybody in trouble. It's fantastic training, and it's free. We'll talk about that more later. So the earthquake happens. Let's take the scenario. You don't have to leave your house, but now you want to go out and check your neighbors, especially the ones you know. The ones you don't know, you can still say, hi, I'm a neighbor, never met you before, but I wanted to check on you, especially if there are older neighbors that you know about. You want to check on them and go around and make sure everybody's pretty okay. And right now, without any training from C.E.R.T, you kind of go, well, what do I do if somebody's hurt? Well, that's what the C.E.R.T training does to help you be able to determine what condition a person is in. Do they need to be transported immediately? Can you stabilize them where they are, etc.? So you want to try to go around the neighborhood a little bit and see if anybody needs any help, especially if you're in good shape. If you haven't been injured, your house is safe. If somebody else's house has fallen down, you can give them shelter from the heat by having them sit on your couch if your house is in good shape. So how to help others is important. Now, in the C.E.R.T training, and I'll kind of give you I'm giving you a advanced knowledge of how the C.E.R.T training goes. You can't just walk into any house you want to. You know, you hear somebody crying, guy got to get in there. You need to evaluate what condition that house is in. Can you get in there safely and come out again? Otherwise, you're going to go in that house, you're going to get trapped. And now, if you multiply that by 10 people, 10 times, that could be 100 people, or 20 at least. I'm sorry, 10 times 2, 20. But if you look at the whole neighborhood, it could be 100 people now trapped that weren't trapped before. And this is how the C.E.R.T program was developed. One of the big earthquakes in LA, people rushed in to help people and got injured, got trapped in homes, all kinds of things, added to the demands on the emergency crews. And at that point, after that earthquake settled down, they evaluated everything that had happened and said, hey, we need to train the public. So they know which houses they can go into, which people need to be transported immediately, which people we can stabilize if somebody has passed away, okay. But that way, if we train them and get a good percentage of the public trained in the C.E.R.T training, the Community Emergency Response Team training, then we are going to limit the number of people that rush into a house or rush into a situation. And instead of one person who's crying for help, now we have 2 people or 3 people that need help, and we've just multiplied our problems. And that's something that is vital in the training of the C.E.R.T. Now, we talked about being on your own for 3 days. And we talked about the gas and the ATM, and using your card is not going to work, most likely, especially in LA, could be here. So you're going to have to be able to work around that by having your supplies set up. Now, the other thing is there is a psychological part of this. You can't get in touch with your family. And let me take a side note that if you have, let's say, family in Oregon, and you have family in Washington, and you have family in California, you should have it set up already that when there's a major earthquake, everybody calls to Oregon or Washington to check in and say, hey, we're okay. Because the lines from here to Oregon might work better than them trying to call to LA or here. So if there's a way for you to get a message to them, we're okay, it's probably better from here to there, because their phones are going to be working. And if you can get your phone to work, then their phone, they didn't have an earthquake, so their phones are fine. And that is an important thing, because otherwise they're left wondering and wondering. The same if you have relatives in LA and there's a major earthquake, the first thing you're going to do is, oh my gosh, are my relatives okay? And if they can't call you because the phones are out, then you're going to have to just kind of wait till you hear. But you can set up plans. Like if they have a way to call Oregon, say Betty and George are okay, Oregon. Then you call Oregon. Have you heard from Betty and George? Yeah, they're okay. Oh, wow, that's good. Because that's that psychological part of an earthquake. Just worry upon worry upon worry upon worry, right? And you don't want that. That's very stressful. It's very tiring. And it makes you just very uncomfortable until you get the word that they're okay. Hopefully they will be. Now, if an earthquake hits and you are in a car or your kids are in school, if your car is filled up with gas because you're keeping it filled every time it's half, and it's in Nevada here and the roads are not too disrupted, you can go pick them up from school. Now, it will be quite crowded because everybody's going to want to pick them up from school if it's a sufficient earthquake here. So you want to be ready for that. That's why having a lot of gas in your car is a good idea at all times. Every time it gets to half, fill it up. Chances are the earthquake will hit when you have a full tank, hopefully. Okay. Now, you don't necessarily, after an earthquake, you're on the freeway and you go, oh, I'll drive underneath this overpass because if anything falls, certainly the overpass will protect me. Well, you don't know if the overpass is ready to fall down because it shook so hard. So you don't really want to park under an overpass. You want to be aware of where there are lights that could fall on you if you're driving. You have to be aware of that and watch out and listen to the radio and try to find out what they're saying about which roads are safe, open, because they'll start checking the overpasses as quickly as they can if they can get to them. And that's something quite important. If you're stranded in your car because the car went into a ditch where the earthquake opened up a ditch or something, hopefully you have an earthquake kit in your car. That is something else that you should have. I have 2 in my car at all times. You don't have to take over the entire back section of your sport utility vehicle. But a backpack with the basics would be a good idea. And guess what? You go through the C.E.R.T training and they give you many supplies and tell you what supplies to put in a backpack to keep in your car. Because let's say your car, a tree or something falls on the hood of your car and it's out. Then you should have tennis shoes because you might have work shoes on. Tennis shoes. If it's at nighttime, you want to have some kind of a light jacket at least, water, and your backpack of emergency supplies. And you take that and you leave your car and you then try to walk home if you're not too far, or walk to a hospital or walk to the nearest police department. Now, on your way, it's your choice, but once you're trained in the C.E.R.T training, if you're walking along and there's some people injured, you can help them. And by the way, I want to mention, and they'll mention it as well, you cannot be sued for helping a person after an earthquake unless you start doing an operation on them or something beyond what you're allowed to do, and you will be trained and how far you can go. But you cannot be sued for doing the basics of the C.E.R.T training to help another individual. You're covered. They made sure of that because otherwise nobody would help anybody. I'm not going to help them. I'll get sued. FEMA set up, okay, to this level, you can do things to this level and you won't get sued ever. You go beyond that, start doing all this weird stuff or something, to try to help them. And I understand you want to save them, but the C.E.R.T training will clearly illuminate that so you know exactly what you can do. Your kids don't really have to have an emergency earthquake kit at school, although it'd be a good idea. It's just there's no way to keep it. Other kids might take it. It's kind of a thing. Some of the schools have some supplies. The key thing would be good. Water is number one. You can go quite a long time with just water. Okay. If you don't have any water and you have food, not so good. So you might always make sure that your child has an extra bottle of water in their desk. They don't have to tell everybody, so Johnny borrows it and never puts it back. And it can be one of those small bottles. At least they have some water. But you might consider doing that or putting a little small bag together with water and a food bar, just in case. And you educate them to the fact that this is just in case. Now, my granddaughters gave me a very interesting response. One day when I was driving them to school, I picked them up. It was a rainy, cold day. I said, "Where's your jacket?" "Oh, I don't need a jacket because I'll be in the classroom." Right. Well, my dad was a scout leader, taught me to be prepared. I have gone through the C.E.R.T training 3 times, not because I couldn't remember it, but I was in different towns, and so I went through it. They think the school is never going to be shut down because of a fire or an earthquake. How do they know that? Can they tell me with certainty that they're going to go to school without a jacket and everything's going to be fine? They're going to be in the warmth of the school. They can't tell me that. They are unprepared for what probably won't happen in a million trips to school, but the one time you don't have preparation in place, that's when you wish you did. So you want to instill your children with be prepared. Yeah, but Mom, I've gone to school for 6 years and the school has never burned down. I've never had to wait outside in the cold. Okay. Well, can you honestly tell me that you won't, because of an earthquake or a fire, have to stand out in front of the school freezing? Well, no. Okay, then you're going to wear a coat. But all the other girls look trendy because they don't have a coat on. I'm sorry. Forget trendy. Be prepared. And so you make sure that they have the basic preparedness in place. Cold days, they have a coat because there could be an earthquake which would shut down the school. There could be a fire, shut down the school. They got to be outside, standing on the sidewalk, freezing. Not good. get a bottle of water and a food bar and say, put this in a bag that you can't see through would be best. Just put it in your desk drawer. Don't tell anybody. It's there in case you need it. And just leave it there the whole school year. I don't think the water or the food bar that's sealed is going to get rotten, in one school year. You can always check it. But that would be the least amount of preparedness. Maybe throw a couple Band-Aids in there, But then they'll at least have something that they can help another or they can help themselves. If there's an earthquake and they are thirsty, they'll have water. So this kind of thing is very important. Now, I'm going to be contacting the people from either Henderson or Las Vegas about sending a representative onto my show. So they promote my shows. I will let you know that I'm having someone, they'll promote it that I'm having somebody on the show so that you can watch that. Now, here's the great thing. These shows are stored. So if you happen to miss it, or if I don't do it next week because I can't get in touch with somebody, I am going to have a representative from C.E.R.T on the show. So you can go back and look through the shows and find the one with the C.E.R.T representative giving you all the intricate information about what supplies to have, all this stuff, and about the C.E.R.T program. So watch for that. It's very important for you to be prepared. And I know it's a pain because who knows when the next earthquake is going to happen. But let me tell you right now, before I end this show, you will be so pleased, so secure, and so happy when the next earthquake hits and you have an earthquake kit, you have extra water, you know who to call, you can find out how your relatives are doing, and you might be able to help somebody in your neighborhood because you were prepared. I will see you next Thursday at 5 p.m., hopefully with a representative from the C.E.R.T program. Thank you very much for watching.
Voting is more than just a right, it's a powerful tool for change. Every vote counts and every voice matters. Voting protects your rights and helps to build a better future. And it's a way to hold our leaders accountable. Voting isn't just about the big elections either. Local elections impact our daily lives. It is important to study the candidates and the issues in order to make an informed decision. Don't sit it out. Your vote is your power. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.